Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's November 16th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And basically, this is a range type day. You can see prices are really going sideways. We're below the EMA, above it, below it, above it. So this is a range type day. We traded within the overnight highs and lows, and I'll probably get some questions. Why would you decide here's the lows? Well, you can see how many times we bounced at this level here, all across here, 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 here. We had a little failed break lower a couple of different times, but for the most part, we bounced right along this 3604 to 3605 level, right in there. So that's why the line's there. And you can clearly see by using the highs and these lows that your midline was right across here. You can see how prices played off that as they went through it, got on both sides of it. So that's what I saw today, and that's the way I played it. Of course, it's big enough that there's a trend down, and you can see this two-tiered channel coming down. We got a break and a new low. Then you got one coming up, a break, a new high. You had a little short-term micro one here, but this really turned out to be a spike in channel with an overshoot, and then we had this one coming up, and you get a break and a new high. We came back down and tested the lows again. It held, and then we trended up pretty much the rest of the day. So all this is after 2 o'clock, so of course I didn't mark anything after that. So that's pretty much how I saw it. So let's back out, and we'll talk about the trades here. Okay, 7 o'clock came right in here. We were, for the most part, trending lower here. And 7 o'clock came right in here. There's too much congestion in there. There is a second entry short, but it's just really congested. I'd skip that. And you make a lower high here. It actually breaks higher and turns and goes out the other side. I like going short on the engulfing bar. I still think this closes in its bottom third, so you probably could have gone short right there, but you're really pushing it towards the lows there. I think your better play was one tick below this bar here on the engulfing entry, but you could have played it either way. And of course, we drop down and come back and turn down again, but you don't really get a setup here. Lower high doesn't come to way down here, and you're right across some support, and the other support's just right here. So I think it's a little too risky to enter there. Then we come back, and there's a first entry short right here, but you're still inside this channel. Again, I'd wait on a lower high. You just really don't get one until right here. And that's really what I'm playing. That's really a double top with a lower high. And it's a failed break out of this little tight channel here. And again, this one breaks higher and turns down. So you could go short one tick below that bar right there. Or you could wait and just go short there if you've got enough room to get out before those lows. So that would kind of be my stipulation on how you played that one. It is a second entry short too, because you got a low here, first entry, second entry. So it's a second entry. And you do get a break and a new low here as well. And then it bounces, it gets back inside the former support right in here. And notice what happens. Sometimes if you get a really good setup down here, there's no rejection there yet really. So I don't think you want to try to ride this back. I'd be more for waiting on a reversal pattern. And notice it pushes back inside the support. You get a first entry, and then it comes back and you get a second entry short, and you get that double test of that, and it holds. You get a fairly nice bar. I like going long right there. And then for those of you that might be a little more conservative, you get a second entry long and a higher low here off of this low. And so I like going long right there. And then finally you get another reversal pattern, because this basically makes a double bottom here. So you could look at this as another reversal pattern. And again, it breaks lower and turns and goes higher. We've been seeing a lot of those bars lately, and those generally are traps. And look how it rockets up. So that's all the shorts. No, they got to get out right there. And you want to get in right where they're exiting, which is one tick above this. So once this broke lower and fails real quickly and starts heading higher, just put your buy stop right there, and it sweeps you into the trade, and you're out in a blink on that one, and a runner would have been out and pretty quickly on that one too. And then we just kind of start working sideways. I don't see anything in here I really like. There's a second entry long right there. You might have played that one. Notice it's first entry, second entry, but we've been away from the EMA a while. You're getting a close outside here. It's one you could argue for green. I'll mark it green, but I'd wait on that trade. It's a little bit risky. And if you're just patient and wait a second, you'll see that you get a better chance. You get a double test. Notice you made the low. You come back, you test it once, you test it twice. So now you got a double test and another nice bar, and you're at the EMA. Again, I marked it green though because you've already had a break and a new high. But a lot of times you'll get that two legs up, and plus we aren't back up to the even to the midline yet, much less the overnight highs. So my guess is we're probably coming up to test this area right in here, and we actually go a little bit further than that. And notice that notice you get the break, a couple legs up, and this you actually get two more legs up here. And it could be, I didn't mark it this way or play it this way, but it could be there's a little bit of a spike in channel here with another channel. And really, you probably would have played it more like this. And that gives you, and you can see, let me just make that a little different color. Make it a little easier to see. We'll just color that one. Because sometimes when you get a bunch of lines in there, it gets hard. But you can see that slanted one, and price is playing off that trend line, and then you get a little break and a couple of legs up, and then it reverses. So you could look at that a couple of different ways. Either way, you still get a break and a new high. It's just on this one, you get much more than two legs. You really get another two legs right here. So, and you can see leg up, correction, second leg up. But you get your new high, then you make a lower high. I think it's too early to go short right there. It is a lower high, but notice how you make those two bar matching, and you're right into the EMA, and see how it bounces. And it could easily go for another leg up, or we could find another trend here and finish going to the other side of the channel. So it's a little early, but finally you make a failed second entry long here and get a reversal pattern right at this trend channel line, or this new trend line right here. So I like going short there. It bounces again, and then you get a double test of this. Notice you made the high, you test it once, test it twice. So if you didn't enter here, definitely enter here. I entered this one as a trap. That's the way we're playing that one. So it doesn't matter what the signal bar looks like, and this is just a triple test. And while that looks a little like a doji, with the triple test, it's close enough. One more tick, I'm not sure if it's definitely not a doji. It's more of a bearish bar, but it's real close. You could almost argue for that to maybe be green. Turns out to be a really great move. And really, you're just playing a range, and you got plenty of room to the downside. It doesn't matter. It just takes off. But you get a little two-legged correction here. Notice there's a leg up, down, up. It's not really, there's a lot of congestion there. You might play that as a failed breakout because you're probably going to get another leg at a minimum. You can see that leg right there clearly. So I'd look for another possible leg down. But really the safer play here, and there's a lower high right here, but it's right into that low, and that could be a double bottom. So I'd wait on the reversal pattern, which comes here. So because you got a new high, it's higher than that swing. So first entry, second entry, another bearish bar right off. It's a spike in channel down is what it is. And that's your safest entry. You might have entered here, like I said. I'd be willing to give that a green one. As a failed breakout of this little range area here. You can kind of see that that's really where your lows are, right across there. And you can see in that one you're just right into it, and this one comes in from underneath. So you're probably going to complete your measured leg of this, and you may get another measured leg. Like this one as well. from here. So a couple of different ways to look at that one. And you really make a double top there. So now you get a first entry long, second entry long, and there's also a second entry short right there. So I like that one for sure. Here you got a little more room to the lows. Off it goes. Comes back again. Not a very good setup. Then it comes back again. And I marked this one green. It's a possibility. You could really look at this as a double top right here. Hopefully you can see that resistance right there. It's a double top basically. So first entry. So and then there's two legs down. So you might look at that as, and it is right off the EMA. It's just a first entry counting off this end though. It's a fairly bearish bar. The other thing is we had a little overshoot right there. So that leaves me a little leery, but you got room for it to come back and test it. And it's probably going to come back and test this regardless before it goes higher. And you notice right here, it came back and tested it. And then it even tested it again before it finally went higher. Usually prices like to do a double test before they're going to go on the other direction. So that one, possible green. And then we bounce here. This is just a first entry long and a first entry short, and it's an inside bar, so no setup there. There is a failed second entry short right here, but you can see we're just kind of working sideways there. And then this bar doesn't break above it, so it's just an inside bar, and then the next one doesn't break above it, another inside bar, and then you got congestion, so don't do anything right there. It actually breaks out. As long as you got room to get out between here and here, you could go short right there. It's a little late in the day too, so you got to be careful taking a green trade that close to 2 o'clock. But it's a possibility. So if you've got room to get out right there on that breakout, if you got room to scalp out before you get back to these lows, then you could take that one if you really wanted to. And that's what I saw today. There's quite a few trades, but they were all relatively straightforward, fairly easy to see, reversal patterns and clear trends and trend channels and so forth. So this was a pretty good range day actually. So you had clear channels and trends in each time from top to bottom. And really we bounced in here except for these two that pushed a little lower, but they were quickly failures and we come back here. So back out where you can see the big picture again. But for a range day, not too bad of a day. And we really had kind of a downward bias most of the day because this trend is down and this trend is down. And we had this medium kind of trend up here and it couldn't even get back to the highs, and then we bounced here and it didn't even get back to the midline. So it was after 2 o'clock. We really, like I said, prices like to test these things a couple of times and find support before they're going to go higher in most cases. So again, nothing's ever written in stone when you're trading, but that's generally a good rule of thumb, is to wait for that double test and then consider our clear rejection. So that's pretty good rejection. Notice well, even then we went sideways a little bit before we bounced. So that's not even good rejection. That right there is fairly decent rejection. Notice how we came back. Let me back out here. Notice how we came back and we bounced, then made a higher low, and then we're off. We're not hanging around down here making a bunch of sideways bars. Notice right there, we're hanging around a lot. You want to see it touch and go. Kind of like here, we touched and we left. We still didn't just take off, but we didn't hang around down here. That's rejection off of this price level. And then we just kind of got stuck in there again. And this is clearly rejection up here. We came up here and touched it, and then we were off to the races down. So you want to see rejection. And here we pretty much got rejection. We came down, we touched it, we turned, and we went right back up. And then we did the same thing here. We touched it, but we didn't get instant rejection here. We kind of hung around, and notice it takes a little while before it rockets on up again. So you want to see rejection. Hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, fairly quick today. I like to keep these to about 15 minutes when we can. It's been hard to do. I mean, we had some that were 30 minutes to an hour, a lot of them with all this volatility. But a little quieter day today. I don't know what to expect with, probably till this election is finalized and we know for sure what's going on, and we could still have a lot of volatility. And even once they finalize it, if people don't like what comes from it, we might still see a lot of volatility. So we'll just have to kind of play it by ear. Just trade safely. If it does get real volatile, don't be afraid to sit on the sidelines if you need to. Don't feel like you have to trade every day and take every trade that sets up. That's the real difference between a experienced trader that's doing well and a novice trader. The experienced trader is going to be patient. They're going to sit. They don't feel like they got to take a trade every time on every swing. They'll sit here for an hour or two or three if it takes it before they get the right setup. And if the day's just not panning out, experienced trader, it's nothing for them to close up and go home and say, hey, I'll be back tomorrow. It's just not happening today. But a novice trader feels like they got to take a trade on every swing, and they're chasing it. They're trying to sell it all the way up here, and then they're trying to buy it all the way down here, and they're chasing every swing looking for a trade, and you just can't do that. You're going to have a lot of failures if you do that. So you got to be patient and wait. The key entry points, I hadn't said this in a while probably, but the key entry points are everything. Where are the key entry points? The support, the resistance, support on the trend lines, resistance on the trend channels, although you don't want to counter trend trade unless there's a reason to. And so all these trend channels are slanted support and resistance. Notice how prices just go back and forth between the support and resistance. That's when you know you got your channels right, when they're turning prices consistently, like they're supposed to. This one was a little hard to find here because we didn't really get back up to it consistently. I looked at this a couple of different ways. Maybe it was a spiking channel like so as well. So that's very, very possible. And that does look a lot better. So I looked at it like that this morning, but right in here, it just didn't really look like that in the end. It looks like maybe it was a spiking channel. So play with your lines until you get them right. Even if you played it like I did, you probably played it. I mean, that's good enough. It still kind of gets you to the same place. You just turned early here a few times. That was the difference. But you can still see it working off the midline in here. So I don't know. You could have played it either way. In the end, I like it better as a spiking channel, just like this one right here. This spikes down and went to this channel, but you had a shorter term one right here too. So anyway, I'm not going to drag this one out anymore. Hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully you had a good trading day. We'll look forward to having a good trading week. But I'll be back again tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.